19. Swear to God, I'm taking over 9.
Huh? What are you listening to?
Henry the Blasian.
Brand new.
I've been trying to fucking live. Silly, yo, I be gone like Cheerios. Really though, swear we finna get the gold.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Henry the Blasian here, and welcome back to another video, man. And budget players, I've been hearing your cries. I know recently I've been doing a lot of gameplays on players, and most of the players have been high-end players. I've done some gameplays on budget players, but obviously I've not done enough. And since I'm not really doing a no money spent series just yet, that doesn't mean I'm not going to. Like I've said before, I'm waiting until next gen to do my no money spent series, and I don't have a next gen console just yet. But since I haven't really been doing anything involved with budget players, I figured I'd go ahead and I'd put together a list and I'd make this video for you guys. So today we're gonna be taking a look at the top 10 budget players that you guys should be picking up for under 20k MT. I feel like 20k is a good threshold for if you're a budget player. Some people are buying a Vince Carter for 900k MT. You could be filling up a whole squad with 20k MT players. So I'm gonna be helping you guys out. The way I'm gonna be doing this actually is we're gonna be going by positions. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna build something here called budget, because this only makes it fair, because if the top 10 cards are all point guards, it doesn't make any sense. But if we do it like this, where I give you guys suggestions of the top 2 point guards, then the top 2 shooting guards, then the top 2 small forwards, power forwards, centers, you know how the pattern goes, I think that would be better. And then for the last 3 slots, I'll throw in some wild card cards that you guys can go ahead and pick up if you want to go ahead and spend that little or extra MT. It's really up to you. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you go ahead and hit that sub button. It would be greatly appreciated. We are on the road to 250k, and we need that high energy going into next gen, which should be in tomorrow. I'm so hyped for my PS5. I really hope it comes in on time, or I'm gonna be super upset. But yeah, guys, now that we've got this empty canvas that we're gonna be filling with players, do you guys have your snacks? Make sure you do. Get some water, because hydrating is also important. We can now dive into the top 10 budget players. We'll start at the point guard position and move towards the right, man. All right, so starting off at the point guard position, man, we've got Amethyst Steve Francis, who in my opinion is like the best budget point guard in the game. The card's crazy. One of the best Amethyst. 91 offensive, 87 defense, standing at 6'3". His attributes are insane, but to mention the key ones, he's got the driving layup. The draw foul honestly doesn't matter, even though 80 is still good, but he's got the mid-range, he's got the three-pointer, and he's got a driving dunk. That makes him a lethal force on offense from all points of the floor. Whether it's the three-point line or driving to the basket, you're gonna be worried. Now, I like this card also because he can play defense. Amethyst Derrick Rose is nice because he's got that quick first step and he's got wild animations, but Steve Francis can dunk the ball too, except he can spread the floor and he can also lock down, man. 85 steal is nice. 91 speed down the line is also insane, and he's actually got a decent lateral quickness. To make things even better, he's got all the badges you need. One thing that's important as a budget player is you don't want to really feel like you've got to keep putting badges on a player to be able to keep up with people. Now, obviously down the line, putting on badges is ideal, but if you're a budget player starting off and want to just use a card for its raw material, then this Steve Francis is the move. Now, although he doesn't have a gold quick first step badge, he does have it on silver, which in my opinion is still important. Quick first step is like one of the most expensive badges in the game, so if there's any point where you can just even buy the card where it already has the gold quick first step and you're only paying like an extra 500 to 1000 MT on the Steve Francis, I highly recommend you do it, because gold quick first step in its own goes for like 7k MT. So that's one thing to pay attention to when you buy the card. You can buy the card raw, but if you find one that's completely badged out for 5k MT more, I would just take that sacrifice and make that MT back by going to play triple threat online or something. But yeah, this card essentially has all the badges that you need. He's not a range extender type card, but he will knock down that open three, which in my opinion is important. As a point guard card, I think without a question, Steve Francis is at number 1. Now, if you're looking for a point guard off the bench, you got yourself Amethyst Richie Guerin, who also is an absolute bucket. He's a shooting guard who can play the point guard, standing at 6'4". Offensively, again, he's got what you need. The driving layup, the mid-range, and three-pointer actually being better than the franchise, but the thing is, his driving dunk is an 80, and the driving dunk this year is the absolute meta, and Steve Francis, he will show you that. But this Richie Guerin is still nice. I'm just not the biggest fan of his defense. I like that he's got 88 perimeter, but that 67 steal is a bit on the lower end. 85 speed with ball is not too bad. All around, he is a great point guard, and if you guys aren't looking to spend that much on a another point guard off the bench because, again, you're a budget player, I've got a bonus addition for you. We've actually got another additional point guard here for you guys, and I'm going to show you right here. Some of you might find this surprising, but this card is an actual bucket, and he's going to surprise you, and that is the Ruby Chris Paul. I'm actually going to go ahead and compare him to the Richie Guerin, just so you guys can see that the gem color does not always matter. You don't always want to go with the most high tier card. We're going to go ahead and compare these two. Now, Chris Paul is 6 feet tall, but the thing about the game right now is that you can use however tall your point guard is, and you're not necessarily going to get dogged because we don't have any insane Penny Hardaway, Magic Johnson type cards yet, but you can see it's very comparable. The only thing Richie Guerin can do better is post offense, which you're not really going to use if you have a Chris Paul card. Chris Paul can shoot the ball just as well. He doesn't have that driving dunk, but he's a better ball handler, a better defender, and he is actually faster with the ball and has better lateral quickness than this Richie Guerin card. On top of that, as a Ruby card, I know he doesn't have any Hall of Fame badges, but there's one thing about Chris Paul that he has over Richie Guerin, and that's going to be the fact that Chris Paul comes with the gold quick first step badge. Richie Guerin might have 25 gold badges, but you've got to have the important ones. The thing about Richie Guerin is even though he has all those gold badges, some silver, and a Hall of Fame, he does not come with quick first step whatsoever. So if you really want that Richie Guerin to be effective at the point guard position, you're gonna have to find one that has quick first step or spend that extra MT, and you're not looking to do that. So for cheaper, for less MT, you will be able to get a Chris Paul who's gonna be able to play just as well on the court. He can shoot the ball really well. He's a great defender for being 6 feet tall, and he's fast, so you can't complain about that at the point guard position. So I guess to start off, I've given you guys 3 point guards off the bat: Steve Francis, Richie Guerin, Chris Paul. They are my recommended suggestions for that point guard position under 20k MT. So jumping over to shooting guard, guys, we've got Amethyst Michael Cooper, and without question, this should be a card that should be on your team if you're a budget player. I do not care, because not only can this card get buckets on one end, he can defend the best player on the other team no problem, especially if you need someone to guard the point guard position because someone's cheesing you with Pink Diamond Steph Curry. Put this Michael Cooper card on him. If you're a budget player that runs into a bunch of teams that include pink diamonds and diamonds, you definitely want this man in your back pocket, because you can see he was meant to be a top tier cone. What I mean by that is that he's going to be a lockdown defender, 96 overall defense, standing at 6'5", but he can also knock down the open shot. An 83 3-pointer. By the way, he's got a beautiful jumper, so you don't even have to worry about that. 87 free throw, 84 driving dunk, which is definitely going to be useful in transition. And like I said, his ball handling and stuff isn't too high, but that's because this is meant to be more like a Klay Thompson card without having to pay that extra 30k MT for the Amethyst Klay Thompson. Look at that defense, 95 perimeter, 85 steal. He's actually got decent speed, insane lateral quickness at 95, and the mental game is on point with this card. On top of that, he comes with Hall of Fame clamps off the bat. Like I said, if you want to be able to guard some of the best cards in the game at the point guard and shooting guard position, you need to get this Michael Cooper on your budget squad, man. He's also got that catch and shoot badge, interceptor. You can see he's more meant to play defense than anything else. Again, he will still knock down that open three. If you want to give him shoes and you want to give him a couple more badges, that's going to be fine, but in my opinion, that gold catch and shoot is going to be just fine, because Cooper, he's not really going to be creating shots for himself, so it's not like he needs to have like a shot creating type badge. He needs to be able to catch and shoot the ball, and that's exactly what that gold badge says it's going to be. But that Hall of Fame clamps has to be the most important thing about this Michael Cooper, and that is why he is literally a must-have card if you are a budget player. And if you're looking for an alternative shooting guard, I recommend Ruby Andrew Wiggins. The man is an absolute bucket, and he's 6'8" at the shooting guard position. He's got all the stats necessary. On top of that, a 95 driving dunk, and he's a bit more athletic than the Cooper as far as speed goes. So you really put in whatever player you want based on the situation at hand. Obviously, if you need more defense, it's Cooper. You want to push the pace a bit more, you throw in Andrew Wiggins. Now, I know some of you players are thinking there could have been a better player you could have put at that 2 position, and I'm actually going to go ahead and put him at the 3, and I'm kind of going to explain why. Some of you might already know who this is, and it's going to be this Amethyst Caron Butler. I'm actually surprised that this card as well is going for under 20k, because the man is an absolute bucket. Now, because he's 6'7", some of you might prefer he plays the 2, but I think he's actually better at the 3 because of his stats. Offensively, he's got the driving layup, he's got the mid-range and the 3-point shot, and his jumper this year, oh my goodness, it is butter. Now, he's got that free throw, the driving dunk. He's not a great ball handler, Butler, which is why I prefer to keep him at that 3 position. And he's also not the fastest player, and I don't really want to have 2 shooting guards that are not going to be that fast to push the pace. Having 81 speed at the 3 is fast enough to push the pace, and you can usually hide these types of players when they're bad defenders. You can see that Caron Butler is not the greatest defender, but not many people attack with their small forwards, so you can really just sit on passing lanes with Caron Butler if you really need to. And the main reason I like Caron Butler at the 3 is the badges. Take a look at this, man. He's got the Hall of Fame corner specialist. Why would I waste such a wonderful badge at the 2 position? If you put him at the small forward, he's more likely to sit in the corners for an open 3. That way you can utilize that Hall of Fame badge so much more. On top of that, he's got great gold badges. Again, that catch and shoot, acrobat, relentless finisher, off-ball pest, contact finisher, showtime, even the gold flexible release and green machine, hot zone hunter. I don't know what his hot zones are. They might be in the corners, and if they are, then you literally should never miss a shot in the corner. He's got the gold steady shooter, but that's a badge that's going to be going away in next gen. So if you are playing with this card in next gen, he only gets better, which is even scarier. But yeah, Caron Butler is a card I don't see being talked about enough. Plus, look at the badges he can hold, man. Pickpocket, you got Dimer, Pick Dodger, Clamps if you need to put it on him. Again, you can kind of hide this card at the small forward position, and unless the other player knows to attack with their small forward, and most small forwards in the game right now aren't rim running gods except for that Grant Hill, in which the case I likely say switch Michael Cooper onto that card. You should be okay with this Caron Butler at the 3 position. I'm a big fan of this card. I highly recommend you guys pick him up, and you will not regret it. As an alternative, you can get yourself a Bruce Bowen off the bench, or as another budget small forward. This card is going to give you the vibe of a Michael Cooper, where he's absolutely locked down and then can knock down shots on the other end. In my opinion, defense is always the most important part of 2K. You can have as many great offensive gods as you want on your team, but if you can't defend, then what's the point in really scoring? This Bruce Bowen is great. He's got the catch and shoot. He comes with a Clamps and Intimidator badge as well, and he's got a Hot Zone Hunter. Now, what's good about Hot Zone Hunter on Bruce Bowen is that this man practically has hot zones everywhere, which is going to be great for someone who's a budget player. You got someone on your team who even has gold dimer, and that's going to be a big boost. But like I said before, he's more meant to be a cone type player. He's going to lock down on the other end, and he's going to sit on the corner once again so he can hit those threes very consistently. He's got an 88 3-pointer, but other than that, he's honestly not offering very much on offense. You can see he doesn't have much of a mid-range, much of a driving dunk, yet alone even much of a free throw, but he is still one of the best budget small forwards in the game. 96 perimeter defense is absolutely locked down. Not the fastest card, but defensively, he's definitely gonna get the job done, and that is why I recommend you guys go ahead and pick this man up as well. At the number 4, we've got Amethyst Boris Diaw, man, who is still one of the best power forwards in the game, and he's been around for a while. And that's gotta be my favorite thing about 2K this year, is that cards actually have such a long lifespan compared to previous 2Ks. Like in 2K20, you always needed the newest cards. Even if it was budget cards, you always needed the newest budget cards in order to keep up. This year, it's not necessarily the case, and I like that a lot. It's giving me a lot of NBA 2K17 vibes, which is definitely nice. But this Boris Diaw, he's got great badges. You got the catch and shoot, you got the pick and popper, which is what you're going to be using him for a lot. He's even got the silver dimer to be able to kick it out after a rebound, and even silver clamps if you really want to test it against guards. I wouldn't really recommend it, but the stats, they're good. They're nothing crazy, but he is 6'8", so he's going to be a bit more agile. A little bit of post game, he's got that mid-range, that 3-pointer, a bit of a driving dunk. His rebounding is not too bad. His defense is not the greatest, but it should be good enough that you guys should be able to lock down and get the job done. Now, he can play small forward. I don't recommend it because of that speed. 72 speed and acceleration is just not really the wave. 76 lateral quickness at the 4 though is definitely usable and manageable. And yeah, all around Boris Diaw, there's not really much to say except he continues to be a fundamental card, and it's kind of funny because he's in a Spurs jersey, which represents Mr. Fundamental Tim Duncan. So Boris Diaw, I guess, is the budget Mr. Fundamental. Now, an alternative to Boris Diaw is going to be this Ruby Steven Jackson, and this card is more going to be used to push the pace and more of a small ball offense. And it's funny saying small ball because he's 6'8". He's the same height as Boris Diaw, but in my opinion, he's going to be better for guarding certain players, and he's also going to be able to push the pace a bit more on the offensive end because he offers more of a driving layup. He can knock down the shots just as good as that Boris Diaw, Diaw, except he's also got an 85 driving dunk on top of that, and I like that he's actually got perimeter defense and a steal. This is going to be perfect for when you're matched up against cards like Paul George and Kevin Durant at that power forward position, and Boris Diaw might not necessarily be able to keep up. That's where you've got the Steven Jackson, and he's also much faster. Again, you want to be able to push the pace a little bit more when you've got this card on the court. Decent lateral quickness, the mental game's not too bad. For those of you that have used Steven Jackson cards in the past, you know he always ends up being one of the better budget players in the game. He can play that small forward position if you really need, but I definitely recommend you take advantage of him at that power forward position, because there's not many good small ball cards that can play the power forward position when it comes to budget cards. But yeah, he's got that flexible release, that green machine, hot zone hunter, a lot of things you really can't complain about. The only thing he's really missing is the clamps badge, and I'm actually not sure if he can actually hold it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so yeah, he can hold clamps, defensive leader, heart crusher, interceptor, and intimidator. So if you really want to badge him out, go ahead. I don't recommend you do. If he's a card you're going to keep for a while though, maybe give him like bronze or silver clamps just so he can somewhat guard Paul George or Kevin Durant at that forward position. But Steven Jackson, man, this card's going to be a walking bucket for a while. He's definitely going to last till at least Christmas in my opinion, but I guess we'll see. Moving on to that center position, man, we've got Ruby Dino Raja, and this card, man, just like last year, continues to absolutely dominate, because even though he's 6'11", this man's wingspan is like 60'7". He can cover the whole length of the court with his arms alone. He's got very solid stats. Even though he's got that 63-pointer, I've actually seen people knock down threes with this card. I don't recommend you shoot threes with this card though, but this man is going to be a lockdown paint protector, a rebounding demigod, and on top of that, he can actually run down the court fairly fast. 78 speed and acceleration on a big man is amazing. Insane vertical, solid rebounding stats as mentioned before, and even though he doesn't have insane interior defense or an insane block stat, he's going to be getting a lot of blocks and getting a lot of stops, because again, his wingspan is just absolutely nuts. He's got that driving dunk as well, and he's all around just like a fundamental center to have on your team. I really do like this card a lot, and even though you're someone who prefers to space the floor a bit more, you are going to like yourself a Dino Raja. But if you really are looking to space the floor a bit more, that's why we've got the alternative center, and that's going to be Ruby Andrea Barnani, man. Now some people actually prefer that Ruby Rafe LaFrentz card, so we're actually going to go ahead and compare the two. Now you can have either one on your team. Again, that's what those reserve spots are for, but when you compare the two, one is 6'11", one is 7 feet tall, except in my opinion, I think Barnani's jumper is a bit more consistent, and he offers a little bit more in the post. Now Rafe LaFrentz, even though he's a decent card, I find him stupidly slow. Like, he's got 59 speed and 56 acceleration. I think Barnani is going to offer you just a bit more, and even defensively, like, I'm looking at all these stats and everything just kind of points to Andrea Barnani. So in my opinion, I suggest you go with the Barnani card. He's also got a bit more badges: gold catch and shoot, worm, contact finisher, deep fades, pick and roller, green machine, hot zone hunter, tireless shooter. Like, there's just really not much that can go wrong with Andrea Barnani in comparison to Rafe LaFrentz. But again, we will keep one on that spot, and we will keep one on the spot right here. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't really have a spot for the player in that last slot, because these right here are the top budget cards I recommend you go ahead and pick up. Now my title is probably gonna say top 10 because it's meant for 2 every position, but these guys are just alternatives, so you don't have to pick these cards up. I'm actually gonna do it like this, but I recommend the 10 here. You for sure go ahead and pick up Steve Francis, Michael Cooper, Caron Butler, Boris Diaw, and Dino Raja as the starting lineup is honestly elite. I would actually start Barnani over that Dino Raja though, but if you've got a starting lineup like this and you're a budget player, you're doing good for yourself. And then with that extra MT, you can look to expand on better things for positions. The one position I probably get better right away is probably start with Caron Butler and then probably work to Steve Francis, because the point guard position is always important. And then maybe Andrea Barnani if you want to get yourself like an Amethyst, Karl Anthony Towns type card. That's never bad for an upgrade. But this team right here should be able to take on some of the best teams online. And if you guys want to see me use this team in a video to show you guys that, let me know in the comment section below and we will make it happen. But with that being said, guys, this is going to be the end of the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like, and for you new viewers, you know you gotta hit that subscribe button and join the Blasian Nation, man. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you all have an awesome day, and take care.